one question first. Who is an engineer? Who has a background of engineering? Great, majority of people. Who isn't? Okay, I'm not. I studied art history and philosophy, but I work on APIs because I'm trying to bring the business value and the design inside APIs. I was super happy to attend this conference because I think it's the first time a conference like this, the first time I hear a lot about design, about monetizing APIs. The first keynote, the welcoming keynote was, he was saying that he was giving a podcast about how to monetize APIs. And I think it's a fight we have to lead together because to make understand to everyone that tech is a great means to create value in a very diverse way. We need to work together, non-tech people with tech people, you guys, yeah, a lot of guys, to build this API culture because I'm sorry, tech is super funny and I don't want to let you all play with it. So what is an API? For a second, who am I? I'm Pauline Pham, and I'm working for 5x5, which is an innovation studio, an innovation agency, and I work with non-tech people, traditional company, who works in a big tech company in the audience. Tech company, okay. Traditional big organization, yeah, then you hear me. Okay. And what we do, we help those big traditional organizations create new products, new services, and new API product as well. So how do they change? How do they move from being a traditional business to a platform? So what is an API? That's a question I ask in the room most of the time when I start working with them, and the answers are super diverse. Because APIs have been around for years, but many people around the table, none of them have the same definition. Most of the time, it's a basic middleware, and but the more we go, like for example, you are there at Nordic APIs, you might think that it's the hub of the digital economy. You can't create value now building a business without building APIs in the platform. And I told you that my background is design and business, so my way of looking at APIs are products. Product like my daily cornflakes, because there is a demand for that, monetization, and there is a price then to build. And this is really basic, but that's not all the time the way we talk about APIs. There is a lot of ideas around APIs, and that needs to be deconstructed sometimes. An API is a product because there is a name, there is packaging, the APIs, there is some documentation, there is a term of use, it's a SaaS model, and there is a license, basic. But as why did I ask you what was your company? Because talking about APIs when you are starting from scratch with no IT legacy, and when you are an existing business company, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You can't, because I work with a lot of banks and insurance companies, you can't do that or as fast as they did it. For example, so who knows N26? It's super interesting to see how big they grew in a so short time, because they started with a very, very simple product. It's a neobank. And then they plugged in with partners APIs with many services. And when you listen to the founder of N26, what he's saying, I'm not building a bank. He's saying, I'm doing banking. So he's aggregating many services, many pieces, many Lego bricks to build an entire bank. And it works. For example, in France, in 3 months, they launched this partnership with United Credit, so it's a consumer credits, and it was 3 months to sign it, build it, release it. While for a bank, would have been maybe 1 year at least, maybe 1 year of talking sometimes. That's why APIs, especially in the banking services, in banking industry, is quite disrupting the way they culturally think about banking, because you are evolving from a structure really all about themselves, not about the ecosystem, and people who have to break down this culture to think about working with other people, even their direct competitors sometimes. That's why it's so painful for them. So now let's talk about it. How do you create an API as a product culture inside those big organizations? Most of them, they don't have any tech culture. You have the IT in the side of the organization, and the business on the other side of the organization. And I don't know about the Nordics, I don't know about Sweden a lot, but for example, France, even South Europe, the product culture, it's not even there sometimes in startups. So it's a double challenge. How do you build a tech culture plus a product culture? That's a quote I use a lot because I'm a lady. He's a very well-respected man with white hair, so it helps. But so there is more impact when he says it while I'm saying it. If I were to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about it, and only 5 minutes thinking about the solution. I think that's the best reflex we can all adopt to avoid a lot of money for few impacts. It's a summary of the few things I will talk about in the last minute I got. 4 reflexes to think about API as a products. First, platform, basics. And then about products, we saw that in many slides of the speakers yesterday and today, but monetization, how to monetize your know-how, but in another manner with building tech assets. Thinking bricks, Lego bricks, and thinking unbundling. And it's not the same, because bricks, it's this way. You build a brick and over. And blending is you have something super big and super messy and super complex, and you have to understand how do you decompose it. So platform. What does make a platform successful? We heard all those basic notions a lot, developer experience, but that's not something obvious when we when we try to build APIs in those big organizations, and even at startups. Like, please, and you have API handyman in the room, so think about that. But you have to empathize with the developers because they are human at first, and it's the only way to make your API successful. And that's the last number I found on the internet, but from just 2008 to 2015, Apple software enables 380,000 developers. It's quite amazing, and it was only in 2015 the last numbers. So this is what it takes to build and to make a platform grow. This is another one I like very much from Albert Einstein, even though I'm always concerned to put it in an API slide, because when he was saying that, he was talking about racism. But it works. Why is it so difficult to work in tech and to explain that to other people? And it's because there is a lot of prejudices to break down and to smash, and it's in the edge. It's just in the edge. And you can't avoid the patience, the time to talk to each other, to talk to someone, and to bring it in, to onboard them, to educate them, and it's even so. It fits with our problematic of APIs, because most of the time it's it's conceived as technical APIs, so a tool, a tech, not really, we tend to forget about the usage, about the practicality of it, and the use of the end user sometimes as well. That's why we use design methods to build APIs with the people we are working with. It's really nothing new. Benchmarking, use cases, personas, because a person to think about is better to align everyone, even the business people and the designers and the developers. Value proposition definition, having a mockup, very light mockup, and to go outside and to only test the value prop, even internally. And then the business model, because yes, you are creating business as well. And I have a part as well on the team. So, but you did a great job. I won't go further on it. I like this one. So did it work? Yeah. It's funny. The unbundling. It's the story of the internet. Yeah, I can make it again because it's super funny. Yeah. Smaller compartments. At first, in the history of internet, yeah, you have AOL. It's a big portal full of plenty of stuff. And then you had Yahoo, who just built a great portal, only the portal. And then you had Google. It was a search bar. So when you think about building APIs, especially when you are in big orgs with complex businesses already, think about that. And again, unbundle is not dissociation of stuff. It's really, really different. I like it too much. Rule 2, treat APIs like products. I told you. Thank you, Arnaud. This is your metaphor of the microwave. But the microwave, it's who knows how does it work in the back? Who knows? Okay, I didn't know. I know how to cook a cake. Yeah, because thank you, Arnaud, again. But it's super easy. I just need to push a button and it works. And that's all I need. I don't want to care about. Yes, that's geeky, that's nerdy. Maybe if I want to read about it, I want to. But when I need to eat something, I don't need to read everything. Then market it. And I know it's not something obvious for engineers sometimes, but even for business people and for designers. But if you want to sell something, you have to market this and to understand the culture and the codes of the people you are talking to. So you have to engage with them and to learn from them. What are their needs? And this is the most difficult part, even more when you work in a big organization. Really, it's super funny. An API becomes a product when it is treated as one, when it has a team to build APIs, actually. So in the actual world of a big organization, how does it work? You have the IT in one side, and then the business. It's some French, I'm sorry, I forgot to translate it. Métier is business. Marketing, the juridique is legal, thank you. Legal and communication. And they don't talk. And there is a project, a transversal project with everyone. And nothing is happening. And here is a very difficult part of it, because actually when you are a leader inside of the big organization, when you want to make it work, you have to break everything and reorg everything. But they want to do it all at first time. They don't want to start small. But the best way to go is to build one MVP team for your MVP API. You have tasted all the use cases. You have some prototypes, and that's it. And you have to create new jobs. For example, product manager doesn't exist in this kind of organization. So there is a lot of new jobs to create. For example, it's really common. I'm used to say to the people I work with, the next banker will be a designer or a developer. And then secure by design. You had a lot of conference about that, but yes, it's not the responsibility of your users to take care of that. And then get organized or reorganized. So because I'm working on innovation, transformation as well, that's a basic rule. To make a shift, you have to have at least 30% of your people to think another way. Otherwise, you will still be a minority, you won't be heard, and it won't work. That's why we need to talk to each other. We need to talk more. We need to joke and to have fun around APIs. Because sometimes it scares people, even more if you talk about open APIs, they'll say, what? Open APIs? This will be super quick because you had a great presentation about team design. But so I will emphasize one thing, but going through. So first, the first reflex should be define your product team with someone from the business side, someone from the tech side, some developers, because you need them on board to test it as well, and an executive sponsor. And there are few of them willing to go, but you need them. So go, you need them, because otherwise you can have the brightest idea, it won't go through all the politics inside those big organizations. And it's pretty simple. Then you have an API, a product. So find a name, a value prop, because you need to make it. You need to communicate those elements, those data in your company. You have to find the users and the markets. You have to go and search for them and talk to them. You have to have a roadmap, and you have to all the technical part. And whereas the politics is super heavy as well, is when you start defining some guidelines for your API style guide, because you are talking about governance at the level of the organization, and it hurts. And then the good metrics, because this is a basic game in big orgs, not to define the good metrics, but some vanity or traditional metrics sometimes. So depending on your objective, is it an internal API to make stuff faster? That's great. You will learn a lot, and that's a good beginning. And then the documentation and the legal. My advice would be as well to talk a lot with your legal team, even more if they're not non-tech people at all, if they are low-tech people, because you need them on board to understand what we are talking about. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.